Everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Fiber Broadband Association webinar. My name is David Norris. I am the webinar producer here at FBA. Today's webinar is being brought to us by LiteLinx, and we're excited to have some folks from LiteLinx with us today. And this is from chaos to clarity, smart fiber deployment with F360i. And before we jump into the presentation, though, I just want to go through a couple of quick housekeeping items. First of all, as attendees, you are in listen-only mode today. However, we do want to hear from you, so feel free to ask your questions, and you can do that by typing them into the questions tool, which is located in the lower left-hand side of your screen. We also have some additional resources for you, so if you want to learn more about what we're discussing here today, you can access those resources there in the upper right-hand corner of the screen in the resources box, so feel free to grab those. Also, this will be available on demand. We usually have that up on the FBA website within 24 to 48 hours, and you can find that in the events section under the webinars option. And finally, we do have a very brief feedback survey at the end of today's webinar. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to fill out that survey, it really helps us out. We appreciate your input and want to make sure that these are valuable for you. And with that, just a brief introduction to our presenters here. So we have Yishai Amsterdamer, who is the founder and CEO of LiteLinx, and he is being joined today by Alex Frelickman, who is the VP of Sales with LiteLinx. And with that, I'm going to get out of the way, and I'll hand it over to our presenters. So gentlemen, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Welcome. I'm Alex, and Yishai is my boss and CEO and a good friend of mine. The good news is I have easy first name and difficult last name, and Yishai goes the other way around. So hang with us. This is just the beginning. So, so we like to organize these events and activities. Even though they're virtual, we do like to make them interactive. So, and as formative as possible. So as you feel a question needs to be asked, don't wait, just shoot it up. It's good to happen, you know, while it's actual. We're obviously going to allocate, you know, a section towards the end to go through the Q&A, but don't be shy to send questions, and there are no bad questions. So, before we jump into the smart fiber component, I would like to just have a brief overview of LiteLinx, what we are, who we are, and why. So we are a relatively new company, a startup. We come from a very heavy technology background. So when we decided to build LiteLinx, we wanted to do something different because there are many fiber manufacturers, and everybody does similar things. And with some innovation here, some innovation there, we wanted to do something dramatic, something very different, unique, that is different. So LiteLinx has, if you look at our company and our product portfolio, we basically have 4 legs that we stand on. We stand on intellectual property leg. We stand on innovative technologies leg. We have portfolio of outside plant materials and as a cabinets, closures, and so on. And we have a full-blown portfolio of cables, anything from drop cable to, you know, to ADSS or high-density applications that go into the data centers. But that's not the reason why we're here. Just a kind of a brief overview. We see, yes, there are plenty of materials and product companies that do fantastic jobs, but at the end of the day, it's still a material. We wanted to bring a different kind of innovation, digital innovation, into the product. So when we looked at, when we were looking at fiber projects as a construction, we see few interesting nuances. That some of it is heavy engineering in terms of design, very specific skill set, planning, and then you move into the project execution, And project execution is interesting because now you're dealing with very wide breadth of people, everything from management, high-end top leadership, to the guys that are operating the shuffles and excavators and horizontal drillings and so on. So communicating, connecting dots becomes an issue. So in part, it also drives the cost of the project up, disconnect in teams communication. So we began observing some of the nuances that we wanted to start addressing. And what we found is that our skill set and our backgrounds can introduce technology with a meaningful impact in certain aspects of the project, such as procurement and staging, such as construction and deployment, and once construction is done, as-builds and closeouts. These are the three main components of the project lifecycle where we find that LiteLinx technology and innovation introduces unique of a kind impact to the traditional fiber plant construction. Ishai, do you want to comment here?
Yes. So part of the things that we have discovered is that, like Alex mentioned before, the fiber industry is in many ways is very traditional industry. There is a lot of innovations on some aspect of it, but in many aspects of it, the advancement is not that much of a great. So what we have decided to do is, and this is kind of an introduction into the entire solution. So what we decided to do is, we said how we can actually innovate here and bring a total, completely renovational solution. So what we decided to do is to build on our cable. So we said, okay, in our cable, we will do something unique. And we embedded what we called F360 ID tags. And those ID tags are part of our cable. So when we manufacture the cable is coming with that. And on top of it, now that's become, I would say, a layer that we can bring services on top of it. And the services that we can bring on top of it will be the inventory, for example. It can be also the tracking of the actual work when it's moving forward. So all that stuff we are bringing in a very smart way. And what we're doing, just to give us an example for inventory, because our cables, all of them has tags, so we know exactly which tag is associated with which reel, and we can say which reel, how much was the consumption from that reel. So we can go to the inventory and get a very granular information about what exists in the warehouse. And if we are using to the full extent LiteLinx portfolio, then all the equipment is come F360 ID tag enabled, and then and Alex will show a video soon that shows actually how we are doing all the material entry in a very easy way. And I will show you also a live data from one of our customers that agree to expose the data. And what you can see is that how we can actually work with the data. And then we can actually bring a lot of value into and visibility into the system. For example, one of the things that not usually happen, but happens in life is that you're planning to send a crew, but you're not 100% sure that all the material is there. So we can actually specifically say, okay, which material is there, where it's present, if you have multiple warehouses, which warehouse located, the cables, how many cables on a reel. So you can actually, a user or a customer can plan in a very accurate way his processes. And there is always auto auditing. So we have a very cool technology that we are putting multiple scanners around the warehouse, and with the AI algorithms and other algorithms that we have in our background, we are collaborating all the data into a big system. And that big system basically analyze the data all the time and give feedback to the project manager, to the CFO, to the CEO. So everyone within the organization will actually get a benefit, a different benefit, but a benefit from the system.
Yeah, what Ishai did not mention is that those tags are not just embedded, assigned to a reel. Those tags are periodic within every segment of the cable. So what it does, it gives us a uniquely granular information about the cable, where we basically know where every single foot of our cable is located, if it's still on the reel, or if it's deployed, where and when and by whom. So the amount of data ownership within the project and guesswork simply being eliminated anymore. You know exactly what happens when in real time. So the quality of the data that in computer science we say garbage in, garbage out, right? Everybody runs the project. You got the spreadsheets, you got the software, but at the end of the day, the big question is how good the data, when project managers enter the data, or his guys and gals down the chain entering the data into the project manager software, how good this data is. The result ends up speaks for itself. Financial leakages are everywhere through the construction lifecycle. Everywhere. You may be losing 5% here, you might be losing 0.5% there, but anything from inventory management to mismanagement to inventory shrinkage to wrong inventory, wrong material being deployed to the wrong sites, and you can go on and on and on. So when you look at some of the pain points that typical construction, fiber construction, when ISP is building a fiber plant, the typical pain points of the construction project. You got your material mismanagement, you got your inaccurate site prep information. All that results in lost time and extra costs. We call them financial leakages. So the question is, can we come up with a system that can uniquely and efficiently introduce and improve lives of everyone without changing the way that they do their job? Just be transparent, work behind the scenes as much as possible. So without telling guys with the shovels how to do their jobs, just making their life easier to do their job. So and at the end of the day, it all boils down to visibility. How quickly and efficiently you can get the data about your project, what's happening, how much inventory, what's going on, where, what happens in real time, to what's happening with that inventory actually as we speak. So yeah, so and when Ishai mentioned about the video, that video is actually smart warehouse, because F360, it's like a Rubik's Cube. Some people want one side of the Rubik's Cube. Some companies want 2 or 3 or 4 sides. The big question is how much impact you really want to have to improve the efficiency of your fiber plant construction. So if we move into the actual questions, what aspects of the project we really addressing? And it boils down to inventory, dramatically improve the inventory. It boils down to actual construction. It streamlines and improves the construction lifecycle from the real-time data that we get from the field, from the materials to digital, building a digital twin that is actual digital twin, which Ishai gonna talk a little bit more about that, which is really cool stuff. Post-construction, you have questions about locates and audits. How do you effectively can audit your network, make sure that everything that's been guaranteed is there? with minimum reliance on people to making mistakes and mistyping the information. In our case, it's there because everything is digitized. We know effectively where every foot of our cable is, what kind of cable it is, what kind of MST deployed, what kind of FASC deployed. Human factor is eliminated. And then at the end is locates, which is a different application that costs a lot of money to municipalities and ISPs to know where their facilities are, and how quickly you can identify that it's your facility, where it is, how high or how deep it is. And our technology introduces significant benefits into locates from traditional tone wire, because there are things that happen to tone wire that, you know, sometimes makes locates impossible or incorrect. Ishai, do you want to mention a couple things?
Yes. So one of the cool things about it is that in the end of the day, you want also to see a visual aspect of things. So one of the things that we actually brought into life, and I see also some questions are coming around that topic, is how we are actually tracking stuff and how we are seeing stuff. So we will show you soon how we are doing that, but the whole visualization of it is a very important thing. So while the crews are actually deploying the material, the information is being fed back into the system, and it's being presented in many ways, but the most efficient way is it's being populated on the map. It's showing exactly on the map where the crews work, and like Alex said, then we know who actually did the work. So there is accountability also on the crews from A to Z. So we know all the time who has done what and what happened throughout the system. So there is what we call a journey of the material. Material is at the beginning coming to the warehouse, then it's moved to a truck, then it moved to the field, and then in the field there is also the location and who has done it. So throughout the entire process, we are providing an accurate and accountable information throughout the material, where it goes, and we are taking the information, the design information, and enable the user to view it in multiple ways. In a tabular view, they can create their own reports on it. So there is a lot of stuff that can be done just by utilizing the data. So all that stuff is actually enabling us to do a lot of processes about it. So we talked about the smart warehouse. We also do a make-ready management. So if someone needs to create the make-ready process, so we have a make-ready. That process usually is a bit customized from customer to customer. There is some customization, but we are geared to that. There is the design portion that is being loaded. There is the as-is that we are adding to the map as the construction is moving on. There is a very cool dashboard that can be used in order to put the most important KPIs. Of course, there is the map, there are reports, and under the task force management, what we are providing, it's a work orders. So a user can create a work order, whether it's for the make ready, for the construction, for splicing, and potentially if organization has a different type of work order, then we can customize and can create it based on that. So important thing is that our system is very flexible. As once you load the data, it's managed to work with it. There is only few key, I would say, pivot data that we want to map. Once we are mapping that, then everything is being handled by the system and by the solution in I would say in automated way. So once you're doing that, it's become very, very easy to use the system and to manage with it. And flexibility and accountability, what you will see in the system is that you have the view and you have the eyes to everything that is happening.
Ishai, question from the audience. Sorry guys, kind of working from the field office, if you will. Got stuck in Israel for a little while. Can F360i be used for both new builds and existing networks?
Yes, it can. So we are actually, what we are doing, so we are actually creating a module that can actually map your entire asset of existing network. And then for the greenfield or the brownfield that you have, we can expand it with the F360. So we do have a module in which we can map all the assets and then bring them also to the same system to make it easier for the customer.
Very interesting. One more, if you don't mind me asking, while we're kind of bringing questions into the conversation. Guys, and please don't be shy. Keep sending them. Can you show how the real-time as-built data works during construction? We could, but we're going to need to share the screen. Move away to a different screen.
Let me find out, do I share my screen here? Okay. Let me do just the entire screen and then...
And I think David instructed us, once we share the screen, it's the media player where stuff is being shown. So...
okay. Can you see my screen?
This is where things get interesting. I do. Yeah.
That's correct. So we can see your screen. It's in the media player.
Okay. So what you're seeing here, those orange sections, orange lines, those are actually fiber that was being built. So if I will go and actually put the layer of the fiber cable, you will see that it's on top of it. So because our devices work in a way that we are scanning it, not in estimation way or anything, this is why you can see that things are falling on top of each other, right? So by clicking and by just making it view or not, we can immediately see where are actually the deployed area versus the design. Of course, there can be reports for it, but visualized way, in a visual way, it's much more efficient and much easier to do. So this is the way that you will actually see it. So you will start to see the all as is popping up on the map while we are constructing the construction work is being done.
Hold on, Ishai, while you've been sharing the screen, so if I can divert our attention to, so when we talk about digital twin and what kind of data has been digitized, can you show, for example, as an example, part of the build, what it means in terms of data and what segment of the cable, the geolocations, and what it really addresses and what it does?
So in this case, what we can see is we can see exactly to which cable is where the area. We know we are calculating it as a segments, and then we are matching it to the actual cables that were built. So we have a coverage. For example, just to give you an example, let's say that you want to deploy a FOSC. I'm just giving you an example. So our system is very agnostic in a way that we are processing everything as a GIS. We are not taking any other kind of information. There are other reports that can be done. But let's say that we want to know a splice closure, and we want to know which splice closure actually are ready to be spliced. So the first thing, or ready to build. So the first thing will be, okay, which cables are being deployed, right? Because you need the cable. So by doing that, by taking the geo information, we can actually determine which FOSC are ready to be installed and then ready for splice. So we are using all that information in order to correlate all the design layer and give an insight information for the user and make sure that everything is buildable. We are taking the permit information, we are taking all that stuff. We have a concept that we call a trunk table. We have a trunk trackers. So what we are doing here is trunk is a segment of the network that can be built. It's a minimal area that you guys deciding, and then we have the status whether it's buildable or not. And just to show you on the map what it means, for example, if you will see it, let me take all the other stuff of the map. So what you will see it, and I will zoom in a bit. So those are polygons on the map that describe the area. Describe an area that can be built or we can get information. So you can see visually what was already built, what is already covered. So all that kind of information we are accumulating in an automatic way throughout our algorithms, and then we present it to the user and showing it to the user.
Very nice. Thank you, Shai. One more, well, maybe we should, an interesting question. So, because normally, obviously, people ask how exactly it happens, that how do we get the data? Because this is the most confusing part, because people think that, you know, there are some certain active components, maybe passive components. So what are the elements that we read the tags, and how is the system functions? Kind of what is the flow, workflow of F360?
So I think this is a very good opportunity to show the video of the smart warehouse, because that will address this issue and will also give a broader view for the audience in order to now they can, I will say, imagine how things will happen also in the field. So I think this is a very good point that you can actually show the video. And during the video, we can show how easy it is to get a material into the warehouse, scan it, and bring it to life in the system.
All right, so that's gonna be, I think we need to push this. David, what do? We do next. And next. How do we make it play? Oh, it's working. All right, guys. So here is an example. So as we talk to some of the ISPs and construction firms, inventory is an issue. People are understocked, people are overstocked, there are items that they can't locate, so they overbuy and so on. So having an effective way to know what's in your warehouse at any given time, in real time, is a paramount. So we've designed mechanisms and various types of scanners to really identify. It doesn't matter how many items you've got. We can pick up. It's going to take you longer to walk than us knowing, you know, how much and what kind of inventory is in the warehouse. So this video is really kind of shrank 7 minutes, and it took like 5 minutes to walk from one portion of the warehouse into another. Yeah, so, and Ishai will talk a little bit more about the scanners, but there are several types of scanners designed for different, you know, applications within the F360. Some with more stationary, some with more handheld, some with meant for a field that are smaller and hardened to make sure that they don't get damaged. But the whole idea is building block number one, inventory. We want to know and we want to provide exact, up-to-date, and the most correct inventory to the customer.
Yes, and here we have multiple scanners. What you see in the video is a scanner that we call it a mobile scanner, and this is used by the warehouse manager in order to roam the warehouse and scan material and just do his own kind of audit. On the other end, what we have a fixed scanner that will be installed in the warehouse, and that fixed warehouse scanner is actually going to collect the data all the time. So all the time, let's say that there is a use case in which someone brought a material into the warehouse and it didn't do the material entry process. So the system will identify that the material is there and will bring it back to inventory after we will take few steps of checking that it's actually should be back. So those kind of algorithms that we are embedded in the solution make it more robust for the customer to see exactly what type of information. And it can be also the other way around. It can be that someone took material from the warehouse and everybody thinks that it's still in the warehouse. So all these kind of corrections will happen. Even if someone actually took a material from the warehouse, never scan it as material exit, we'll scan it in the field, we will correct the data to show that it's in the field.
All right, so what happens, a question from the field, from the audience. So what happens with, if they're using existing inventory tracking system?
So we can integrate, we have open API, and we can work and integrate with almost any system that is there. In our roadmap, we have plans to integrate with few other solutions. But if there is a customer that needs that, we can of course easily do it. We have API, but some of them we just didn't do yet.
All right, and how difficult is it to operate the system?
It's not difficult at all. It's just an API. It's just making sure that the logic is there and just upload and connect to it.
Yeah, so guys, some of the inquiries that we get is some of the projects that we're working on are only specific to smart warehouse, for example, just to address a smart warehouse component. So we do have a mechanism for non-LiteLinx material to enable F360i Smart Warehouse for non-LiteLinx materials. So, as I like to call it, make it kosher. So, and there is an onboarding process. There is we have a questionnaire so that we kind of work through to understand what exactly is involved, what kind of items are, part numbers, and so on, SKUs. And we could come up with a mechanism and then integrate into your existing process. So the job of the warehouse personnel becomes easy, where you don't have to, when you need to run an inventory, you don't spend hours anymore. You spend minutes. You're just gonna know what's going on, what's in the warehouse, what's moved out of the warehouse. If it was returned back and wasn't manually adjusted, there will be mechanisms that will automatically, as Ishai mentioned, based on stationary scanners and AI algorithms, that's going to start correcting those elements for smart warehouse component. Yes. Do you want to, Ishai? Do you want to show what it looks like, Manisha?
Yes.
Can you do that?
Yes. Just give me a second to share my screen.
And while you're doing it, John is having more technical question, actually.
Okay.
Is there an integration with OSS, BSS software? If so, what systems?
So we integrated with Zoho because we had the requirement to integrate with Zoho. However, like I mentioned, we are open API, so we can integrate with any solution that is out there.
John, it's only a matter of time and money.
Yes, it's not.
But on a serious note, we need to understand what system you use, what is the objective, what data needs to be exchanged, and generally, as long as you have APIs and we have APIs, we could make the data live.
So what you can
I'm
see
sorry for the
here,
interruption. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So what you can see here is basically an inventory of the cables that the customer has in the warehouse. You can see those are LiteLinx SKUs. Then we know how many meters in the inventory, what is the real size, how many were installed, and where it's located, because a user can have multiple warehouses. And if I will select something that, let's say, let me select something that is already here. And we will go to activities. Then you can see who updated, what was done with the system, with this device, or with this cable in the matters. And then we have the details. So everything here is being tracked and managed. And also we have a material. This is for quantity items. Let's say volts. So we have volts in our portfolio. So we are providing here the volt, we're providing the MSTs, we're providing the aerial terminal, we provide the FOSC, we provide all the items that are required for the project, and we can see how many there are here. And it's like almost like Excel filters. So we can do filter based on SKU. So we can see aerial terminal, and then we can see how many are here. We can export it into Excel, a CSV. Let's say that someone wanted to integrate it into a different OSS/BSS, so then the user will be able to see all the information populated on their side. Also, we have operation to mark few items and then move them to a different warehouse, etc., and etc. So it's a very elaborate system that allows you to manage, not only to see the inventory and to see where it is, whether it's in the warehouse, whether it's in the field, where it's located, and you can also manage the warehouses. You can manage all these things.
Interesting. Ron is asking a question. Does
Yes.
F360 integrates with other GIS platforms? And are there any APIs already in place?
So currently, we haven't integrated with any GIS system. We support in our map that I demonstrated. We can drag and drop files that are either GeoJSON or QGPK from getting it from either QGIS or other platforms. But yes, this is on our roadmap to integrate with other GIS system. And like I said, because we have an open API, we can easily do those things. But we already support the format that most of the system provides.
And to check the list on to put a check mark on my list, can you show, for example, when you deploy a fiber, every segment with GPS tags, who did it, timing? So yes, this is actually pretty cool because
this is what I showed on the material. Let me see. So if I'm going here, for example, for a cable, and I will just select here, and we go to the activities, so you can see here who updated, what they have done. Here we see a scanner. So that was done by the field. This is the location that it was scanned. Everything is here.
So you know exactly. So guys, so what it does, it basically addresses some of those concerns about, hey, I installed the cable. I didn't install the cable. Where is it? So you can literally take 5 feet of cable, move it somewhere else, and you're going to know that, hey, geolocation doesn't match. So it's a pretty cool system. In some regions in the world,
that's a different feature.
They requested to use it as a anti-thief feature just because it gives an extra layer of protection, you're going to know that, hey, you know exactly what segment of the cable of what spool it came off.
Yes. In their case, they wanted to know that someone didn't steal their fiber and installed it. So by the fact that they're using the cable and they can go and scan it and they can get indication that this is their cable, they're extremely happy with it. But this is probably in a different region in the world. But I will say that this patent pending cable and solution is intriguing people to think in a very unique way than what we envisioned when we created it and when we started it. So we are seeing a lot of, I would say, a lot of applications that are coming as a request from the field.
So there is a question from the audience that is a little bit more refined. What kind of training or learning curve is involved for field crews or warehouse staff?
And this is a very good question. And the answer to that is most of the cases we train people not more than 30 minutes. And with the way we are progressing with our roadmap, we will develop, it's not we will develop, we are testing an almost semi-autonomous way that the user just need to click on some stuff, and then the system will make sure that it's always connected, it's always sending the data. So it means that the end user doesn't need to know that much. They don't need really to do a lot of things. The app is very simple. They're just connecting and setting it, and from that place, they're just moving on, and that's it. So most of the crews that we trained, it wasn't more than 20 to 30 minutes max, because most of the people are familiar with some sort of smartphone and apps, and our app is very intuitive to use.
All right, we're actually running towards the, we got 15 minutes left. So what I wanted to kind of divert our conversation back into where we started, and it's time. Time is money. What we did, we effectively digitized the fiber infrastructure. So you remove the questions, you remove the unknowns. You minimize the guesstimates as much as possible. And once you use the actual real-time data, you can start addressing the financial leakages in meaningful manner. And some leakages result in better inefficiency, but it's better inventory use. It's timing. We're approximately saving, using F360 smart fiber, companies that fully embrace it, they're able to shave off close to 700 man-hour for 100-mile build. So that means fewer people, faster project execution, and at the end of the day, it's a better price point. So same thing applies to, let's say, now we're talking about BEAD and changes to NOFO and so on. You have to keep in mind that now price becomes a major objective. So fiber has to be reasonably competitive price-wise to wireless systems. And so every little thing will count. Yes, cost of inventory, but at the end of the day, cost of inventory, maybe 10 to 15% of the project cost, right? It's a number, but it's not going to give you a meaningful impact to the cost. So now once you start automating and streamlining the rest of the processes, now you end up with meaningful impact, like 20, 30% improvement in the construction cost, because inventory is part of those leakages, but a lot of it boils down to time and money. So let me review some of the questions. Ishai, do you wanna mention something?
I think that to summarize it in, I would say, in a very global overview, I think that one of the things that we are trying to do is to give a visual or an insight into the project. And what Alex is trying to put in the table is that throughout the entire process of the construction, starting from the early stages of, I would say, of the project, we can give a very good insight to everything that is happening, tracking it from the design stage into the construction, showing you the details, showing you the KPI, showing you the material, showing you everything that is happening in a visual and a comfortable way, and in a way that can, like some people ask, can integrate with other system and give more data, and they can take the data to use it in the other systems as well. So the whole idea here is that throughout the project, we're trying to save both type of leakages, leakage of time by enabling the data to everyone in the organization. There is no need to wait until the field crew is actually coming and syncing the data and sending. Sometimes it can take a few days, sometimes it can take longer than that, but it takes time. Then also on the warehouse, the fact that you know exactly where your material is, everything is accounted, you can plan very efficiently. Once you know that things were deployed and what needed to be deployed is deployed in a way that it should have been deployed. And what I mean by that is you plan to put a cable that is a 96 fiber, and you put a cable that is a 96 fiber. So all those things along the project resulting in saving time, and then as a result of it, it's saving money. Some of them is directly affecting money because you can see and you can plan better. You can see how much meters or how many foot you have in your inventory of X amount of X cable or a type of a cable, and you know that you have a construction, so you can plan ahead. Even if someone, let's say, neglected that and it wasn't looking for it, then there are other people within the organization that can see and can say, oh, you know, we are seeing based on the KPI that we are short of X amount of terminal, X amount of FOSC, X amount of cable. So all that visual and I would say insight that we're bringing into the project and bringing everything in a real time to the user help to manage it in a better way. And as a result, you're directly saving both time and money.
Guys, and we put a poll on the screen. We have a couple questions to the audience, if you don't mind responding, to kind of give an idea if there is any particular interest within the system, something would like to follow up, like more information. It is different. In many ways, you can look at it, yeah, it's a material, but we look at material as, yeah, it's just a baseline. It's for everything else to start happening within the project. So, and don't look at it as a standalone system. F360 is being plugged into the existing ecosystem of software that's already available. And if you're already standardizing certain softwares, like as John and Ron mentioned earlier, yep, we can just become part of their process, just introducing an actual digital efficiency into the process. So feel free to respond to some of the polls. And I think on that note, I'll hand the microphone back to David.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us. And hopefully it's intrigued some question. And we are here to support you at any time with any question, with anything that you have.
Well, thank you both. Thanks, Ishai and Alex. We appreciate all of the information here, and it looks pretty exciting to know exactly where the fiber is. And I'm wondering if I can get one of those warehouse trackers just to keep track of my phone chargers and see who's taking those. So, great stuff. Really appreciate it. If you do, take a moment just to fill out this poll here. If you want to have a follow-up conversation, you can also request a follow-up in our survey once we close out the webinar here. Very exciting stuff. We appreciate, again, Yishai and Alex taking time and putting this together today, and of course to LiteLinx for sponsoring and providing this webinar. A couple of quick announcements here before we go. So first of all, we hope everybody enjoyed Fiber Connect. If you were able to participate in Nashville, we enjoyed seeing everybody there. And it was a great show, but we are not done for the year. We actually have our regional fiber workshops in full swing. We'll be in Anchorage, Alaska in mid-July. So if you happen to be in and around that area, definitely feel free to join us in Anchorage. We'll also be up north in Toronto in August. We'll be in Spokane, Washington in September, Scottsdale, Arizona, and finally Kansas City, Missouri, rounding out the year in November. So we look forward to seeing you there. And also, if you haven't heard already about our Optic Path program, if you were at Fiber Connect, you might have seen our Optic Path Rodeo, where we had some splicing competitions and some other things happening there. It was pretty exciting. That was brought by FBA's Optic Path program, and this is our training and certification program for future fiber technicians. We are looking for people to support this program, so if you're interested in volunteering or want to learn more, scan that QR code or follow the link that you'll find in the resources tab. And while you're over there in the resources tab, make sure you check out the rest of the information on F360 and LiteLinx in general, and definitely reach out if it's something that you're interested in learning more about. Finally, just to wrap up, we do have more webinars coming up throughout the year. And every Wednesday as well, we have our Fiber for Breakfast webinar featuring Gary Bolton, our CEO and president here at FBA. That's a 30-minute webinar where Gary sits down with industry leaders to talk about trends and other happenings within the fiber industry. So please do take time to participate in that. You can actually subscribe to those, and it's also available as a podcast, which you could listen to on your way to work or while taking a jog. So certainly check out Fiber for Breakfast. And with that, we will wrap things up here, but thank you all for attending. We really appreciate it. Yishai and Alex, any last words as we wrap things up?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't have a single missile warning during this webinar. It's a miracle.
Yep. Well, we do hope that you're safe, and I know that you're trying to travel here, so hope that works out for you as well. And with that, we will wrap things up and let everybody get back to their day. But thank you for joining. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.